As we think, so we are. As we are, so we act. And as we act, so we attract. Today's book was written over 100 years ago and is widely considered one of the best self-development books out there. And for those of you that aren't into reading a lot or reading a long book, this is the book for you. I'm Gene Clark. This is Self-Development U, and today I'm bringing you my summary of the book As a Man Thinketh. Alright, the title of the book is As a Man Thinketh, but don't get offended, don't get upset, don't think this was only written for men or this video is only for men. The book was written in 1903. That's just the language they used back then. These are modern times. We could say people, we could say humans, but the book says men or man, and that's kind of how I'm going to gear my video today because it just makes sense with the language of the book. This is a very short book, so any of you people that don't want to read a long book or anybody that wants to sit down and knock this out in one sitting, you can do it with this one. The longest book I found, and again, it depends on the publisher and the version that you purchase, but the longest book out there is 54 pages, and there's actually a really short version that's 26 pages. Now, obviously, the size of the page, the size of the font, that's all going to play a role, but either way, you can knock this out in one sitting. Because this is such a short book, all I'm going to do is give you the title of the 7 sections and then briefly go over those with you as much of an overview as I can without kind of giving away the entire section. Like I said, one of the versions is only 26 pages, and so some of the chapters are only 2 or 3 pages. Section 1, Thought and Character. So in this section, we talk about how a man is what he thinks, and his character is made up of the sum of all his thoughts. And the actions we take are based on those thoughts and that character. And the result of those actions is either joy or suffering. If we have pure thoughts and positive thoughts, then we will see the world in a joyful way, and the actions we take will be joyful. The flip side of that being, if we go through life thinking negative thoughts, then we will act in a negative way, and that'll only result in our suffering. Of course, you do have people that are more positive-minded and others that are more negative-minded, but at the end of the day, it is a mindset and a way of thinking. It's a choice. And while it might be more difficult for negative-minded individuals to think more positively, it is a choice that can have a profound effect on your life. The next section is Effect of Thought on Circumstances. This is the major section of the book because although it is short, it still takes up 1/3 of the entire book. And as it should, because it kind of drives home that main message of As a Man Thinketh. We start out talking about how the mind is like a garden. You can either cultivate it or ignore it, but either way, something is going to grow there. Do you want a bountiful harvest of fruits and vegetables? Do you want your garden full of beautiful flowers? Or do you want it to sit there with overgrown weeds and diseased plants? Good thoughts bear good harvest. Bad thoughts bear a bad harvest. The factors that go into a good harvest are not unlike the factors that go into our thoughts. There are internal and external factors that can affect everything. The external factors you have no control over. The only thing you control in those situations where external factors play a role is how you react to them. Do you just let them take over and you shut down, or you have a negative reaction to them? Or do you use those negative actions, those negative external forces, and turn it into a positive, or try to react in a way to counterbalance those forces? And then you have the internal factors, which you can control. So no matter what those external factors are, you know you're doing everything you can. You're going out there every day. You're watering the plants as they need water. You're putting that fertilizer in. you're trimming, you're pulling weeds, you're doing whatever you can to make sure that you control everything you control. And it's the same with our thought process. We got to be putting out those positive vibes. We got to be thinking positive thoughts, acting in a positive way, putting out that positive energy into the universe. I know some of you out there will start to think that this, maybe it's getting a little too spiritual for me, but at the end of the day, if you're nice and you're putting out nice thoughts and you're being nice to the people around you and you smile when you pass people and you think good thoughts about other people, you're going to have a good day, but it's going to help them have a good day as well. Think about when you go out though and you've got a bad attitude and you see somebody either in your car, you're having a little bit of road rage and then they get mad, they've got road rage too. Or you're walking down the street, you bump into somebody, they didn't see you, they're the one who bumped into you, and they don't say excuse me, and then you get mad at them and now you're having a bad day. It's in those circumstances that our thoughts play a big role. It's, do we have that positive attitude? Do we have a negative attitude going into those circumstances? If you're having a good day and you got a positive mindset, somebody bumps into you, even if it's their fault, you're going to say, oh, excuse me, and not think anything of it. But if you're having a bad day, you've got a negative mindset, somebody bumps into you, you might cuss them out, you might flip them off, who knows what happens. Those are moments that can define who we are. We know that good thoughts result in good actions, and bad thoughts result in bad actions. And that's how the effects of our thoughts can play the biggest factor in our lives. The third section is the effect of thought on health and body. Whether we like to admit it or not, our body serves our mind. Think about what happens when you're going through a negative time and you've got these negative thoughts and you've got all this anxiety or stress in your life. How are you going to feel? Are you going to feel more exhausted? Are you going to be more tired? Are you going to possibly start getting sick more often? Absolutely. Now think about when you've got that positive energy and you're just in a great place. And I'll give you an example. Y'all know from watching my video a few weeks ago, I was just at Disney. And when you go to Disney World, there's no sleeping. There's no resting. It's not a relaxing vacation. You're up 5 a.m. You're getting the kids ready. You're going down to breakfast. You're getting to the park bright and early. You want to be there for rope drop. You want to be there right when it opens. And you go from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. You get back to your hotel. By the time you get in bed, it's 1 a.m. You've had an exhausting day. You've walked 10, 12, 15 miles. And what are you going to do? You're going to get 4 hours of sleep, but you're going to wake up the next day at 5 a.m. You're not going to be tired at all. You're going to be pumped up because you're going back to another park. You're going back. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to walk another 10 miles. You're going to be at the next park all day. You're going to get back late again. You're going to get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and you're going to keep doing it over and over because you're so pumped up and you're in such a good place. Now, when vacation's over, you're absolutely exhausted, but you had that mindset of, man, I'm in Disney World and this is fantastic. And you just got to think about, I was running on no sleep, but my mind was telling me I'm having a great time. I got to keep going. And the body just responds. The body serves the mind. Our next section is thought and purpose. So here we talk about how having these thoughts but doing nothing with them is the equivalent of having no thoughts at all. It's being extremely lazy. This is a vice that's equivalent to having negative thoughts and negative actions. It's like I say in the intro, as we think, so we are. As we are, so we act. And as we act, so we attract. If we're not acting on those thoughts, if we're not acting on those ideas, then what are we doing? Next up is the thought factor in achievement. I'm sure you've all heard the quote by Henry Ford, who said, no matter if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. We can only rise to the occasion and achieve greatness if we can first do it in our minds. If we don't believe in ourselves, then we're destined for a life of misery and weakness. But keep in mind that you cannot be solely focused on yourself. And while it may seem like those that are greedy and selfish and narcissistic are the most successful, it only works for the short term. It's the honest, the genuine, and the sincere people out there who have long-term success. Don't believe the myth that nice guys finish last. Section 6, Visions and Ideals. The great achievements that we wish to accomplish start out as nothing more than visions in our mind. And the visions and ideals that we hold in the highest esteem are the ones that we naturally gravitate towards. In this section, it's talked about how we can be as great as our greatest aspirations, or we can be as small as our most controlling desires. So do not suppress that greatness that you aspire to, and do not give in to those controlling desires. And finally, section 7, Serenity. This final section of the book not only ties everything together, but it does have a little bit more spirituality to it. I think the way it's written and the way anybody can interpret it, it would apply to any and all religious beliefs that the reader may have themselves. So based on how this section is written and everybody's own interpretation, whatever you believe serenity to be, I believe you can easily get that from this section. I leave that up to the reader and you as an individual to interpret it as you will. And that's it. That's it for As a Man Thinketh and for my summary. Like I said, it's a very short book. It's a very quick read. There's no fluff. There's no stories. It's just boom, boom, boom. Here's the information. Take it, apply it to your life, and move on. It's amazing what the power of thought can lead all of us to. And that leads me to my question of the day for all of you. What book, based on the power of thought, is your favorite or has had the biggest impact on your life? Tell me about it in the comments section down below. I can't wait to hear what all you have to say, and I will see y'all next time.